Good afternoon. I'm Kana Whitworth, and we're coming on the air right now with some breaking news. Houston's police chief and the Harris County, Texas District Attorney are holding a press conference about the grand jury decision in the investigation surrounding the deadly crowd surge at the Astroworld Music Festival. Now, we are expecting no charges to be filed against rapper Travis Scott and others, but let's go ahead and listen in now to Chief Troy Finner.
On November 5th, 2021. Also, we have a Lieutenant Hope from Homicide Division, ADAs, Allison Harvey, and Mike Levine. Also want to thank Major Kyle Matheson for being here with us. Thank you for your support. We also have Commander Hector Garcia to offer translation in Spanish a little bit later. Last week, we concluded our extensive criminal investigation. It was presented to the Harris County District Attorney's Office and by the grand jury. Was presented to the Harris County grand jury by the District Attorney's Office. Remember, and my condolences goes out to the 10 victims and their families. We just ask that everybody please keep them in prayer. I also want to thank our homicide team of investigators who worked so extremely hard investigating this case. Again, I want to thank DPS and also FBI who couldn't stand with us today for their portions and help in the investigation. The district attorney will provide details on the grand jury process and decision, and then our homicide investigators will follow to give an overview of the investigation. We ask that all questions are held until the end. Thank you. DA.
Thank you, Chief Finner. I want to begin by offering my condolences and that of every member of my staff at the Harris County District Attorney's Office to the 10 families of the individuals who were killed at the Travis Scott Astroworld concert. I'm Kim Ogg. I'm the Harris County District Attorney, and I'm Harris County's top law enforcement officials. Today, a Harris County grand jury no-billed Brent Silberstein, John Junell, Shauna Boardman, Emily Ockenden, Seth Boardman, and Jacques Webster II, a.k.a. Travis Scott, on all criminal charges related to the deaths of 10 spectators of his concert, of the Travis Scott Astroworld concert, 2 of whom were under the age of 15, and the majority of whom were young adults. The grand jury presentation by our prosecutors this week is a culmination of 19 months of Houston Police Department investigative work with lead officers Joshua Caton and Michael Barrow. And I want to thank these 2 investigators who I've seen since the very beginning, doing nothing but this investigation, working with our prosecutors, tracking down every possible piece of relevant information and evidence as part of their investigation. And our prosecutors, I want to thank Alicia Harvey and Michael Levine, along with numerous other lawyers from our office who provided legal support to the investigators to write subpoenas, to offer counsel, to sit with these investigators and review thousands and thousands of hours of digital evidence, review witnesses' statements, review time and chronology reports, everything, so that we could get to the heart of the question. Our jurisdiction as the police chief, as the police department, and me as the district attorney representing our office, our job is narrow. It's to determine if this tragedy, this absolute disastrous, horrific event involved criminal activity by anyone, at the top, to the bottom, or in between. And it's our policy when we have incidents and horrible things like this happen that, and we aren't clear as to whether a crime has occurred or not, because it's unclear from its face. It was a lawful concert. It was a entertainment event where people died. And when that happens, it's our practice at the Harris County DA's office to take these cases before grand juries. And we do that because grand jury review is required in every single felony case in America. It's a constitutional right, which makes it a prosecutorial obligation. We take these cases to the grand jury only after police have concluded their investigation. In this instance, it took months. As these cases are presented to a grand jury, I need you to understand that in Texas, our grand juries aren't the product of some special selection process. They are now selected at random. Why is this relevant? Because these grand jurors are your neighbors. They are the residents of Harris County. They are ordinary people here to do a very serious job, just like the rest of us. Determine whether there's enough evidence to say that a crime happened. Just probable cause, not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but just did a crime happen? Is there probable cause to believe that a crime happened? In this instance, the grand jury of the 228th District Court of Harris County found that no crime did occur, that no single individual was criminally responsible. In this case, which we handled like we would any other situation of this gravity, it is our prosecutor's job not to go in and get a result that's preconceived by these investigators. The responsibility of determining probable cause by our Constitution is on the people. And that's why this randomly selected grand jury of ordinary Harris County residents is so important for you to understand, because they determined the conclusion and the outcome in this very narrow criminal review. What will happen in courts where they practice civil law, other types of law, administrative law, is not for us to determine. But in our narrow review, our investigators and prosecutors gave it everything they had to ensure that the grand jury could reach the truth of the matter. And that is our job, to find justice even when and in the midst of a terrible tragedy. And in this case, that justice was no bill.
Thank you.
You just heard it there from Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg. The justice is no bill, right? So there were 6 people that potentially could have been facing charges here. That includes people involved with the festival. That includes Travis Scott. And you just heard from the DA, no bill after a 19-month investigation. So for more, I want to bring in our ABC News legal contributor and criminal defense attorney, Shauna Lloyd. So, Shauna, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, our Houston station has learned that this grand jury, again, returned this 6 no bills in this Astroworld stampede. And a reminder to everybody, this did kill 10 concert goers. As you heard the DA mention, 2 of them under the age of 15. But no one will face criminal charges involved in this, despite this 19-month investigation. So, Shauna, what's your initial reaction to that?
Well, my initial reaction is condolences to the victims and their families, because they are still living with a tragedy. So we have to acknowledge that. What the DA found was that no one was criminally negligent for what happened, not a single person that they had charged with these crimes. And that's essentially what the grand jury function is to determine, is whether or not these actions rose to the level of criminal negligence.
And there has been a lot of investigations into this, right? Governor Abbott even put out a report on this, saying that the concert was riddled with errors. Yet again, KTRK, our station there in Houston, says the local government's made little progress in creating new standards when it comes to how these large events are held. Do you think that could potentially create space for some liability at future festivals?
It could potentially. And let's remember, these festivals are so many organizations that have different aspects of the concert that they're responsible for, that there are always going to be gaps. And so that is why events of this magnitude really have to be very thoroughly vetted. Hopefully, this is actually a call to action to concert throwers and promoters to take much more stringent look at their security, how they handle emergencies, and things of that nature.
And what about the fact that there are hundreds of civil cases involving the concert goers and the families of the victims? As you mentioned, it's still ongoing. In fact, I believe about a month after this, there were some 300 lawsuits that had been filed. So how could this play out?
Well, Kana, this is going to play out in a civil arena because it's been a determination that there's no criminal negligence. But that doesn't mean that liability on the civil end can't be found. There are going to be wrongful death suits and other sort of civil liabilities that juries could find were there, even though it didn't rise to the level of criminal negligence.
All right, Shauna Lloyd, our thanks to you, as always, for your expertise. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for streaming with us. I'm Kana Whitworth, and you can always find us on Hulu, Roku, the ABC News app, and, of course, on abcnews.com. The news never stops, and The View is next after the break.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.